Hey there. So I am walking to my gate here in Anchorage. Let's see if I can do this. Well, I know I can definitely talk and walk, but my plane is leaving fairly soon, so I just want to make sure that I'm paying attention. I always share with you guys when I have something that's coming through that I think is an important conversation or important insight for the collective, meaning that we all can maybe benefit from. So in a way, I feel like I'm living my life as an experiment for not just me or my family to benefit from, but hopefully some of my friends as well. So here's what I wanted to share. One thing is kind of a harder thing to share, and one thing is kind of a sweet thing to share. And hopefully you receive what you need to receive from either one or both. So I have been on a conscious, literally like something I chose to do about 10 months ago. Hopefully you can hear me okay. 10 months ago, I consciously decided to start on this, what I'm calling, the friendship experiment. And in other words, what that means to me is getting out from behind my computer. I mean, I travel quite a bit anyway. However, again, it was this really a conscious movement. Feels like a movement, actually, like it's that important, where I said to myself, I want to start to make my friendships even more important, give them an even more sort of prominent place in my life. After losing my mom and my brother, within 2 years of each other, I know that that's definitely part of why I'm on this sort of adventure of conscious friendship. In other words, of really deciding to get out from behind my computer, to stop texting, to stop, to stop a lot of the virtual and hug my people and love my people in a new and important way, in a way that I'm gonna stop right here. In a way that really makes and helps my people. In other words, my friends, my good friends. Like I just love my friend Kate. She lives here in Anchorage, Alaska. Actually, should I give you some of the view? Let's see if you can see it. You can see it, right? Yeah. So I'm just leaving Kate, and we had just such a beautiful time together. You forget how wonderful it is to connect or to reconnect with friends from high school, from college, maybe from your work life, that you met at work. So this conscious, again, movement that I've made to make friendships important again, and to, in fact, there's one of my BFFs right there. Hi, Katie. To really make friendships important, to really use the harder lessons in life, to really use the losses. In other words, recognize that losing my brother, or that losing my mom, or that any of our losses, and again, when I'm sharing these things with you, this is a collective lesson. This is a collective pain. We all lose people that we love. Sometimes we lose them through death. Sometimes we lose them sort of, and I put lose in quotation marks, although really I shouldn't even have to, because I think losing people while they're alive is a very true thing as well. Sometimes we lose the people that we love, our beloveds, to addiction. We lose them to other relationships. We lose them in other harder situations like divorce, things like that. And I think these collective lessons, or these losses, that you and I experience, that we all experience, in daily life. Again, some of us are more comfortable talking about them than others, and this is definitely something that I'm on a mission to do, is really talk about the things that mean the most to us. Just live a real life. You know what I mean? Live a real life, not live a life that looks good from the outside, but that really feels good from the inside. To have a really wholesome, internal emotional life. And I think having a really wholesome and rich internal emotional life means plugging back into our friendships. Having a big, fruitful, rich internal emotional life means making a conscious effort to reconnect with our relationships. And so here's the two things that I was sharing that I would talk about. So the sweet thing, I'll say the hard thing first, and then I'll share the sweet thing, which I already kind of started sharing the sweet part of this conversation. But I think a lot of times when I get on live streams or when I write, I talk a lot about communication and conversation and being brave and having the harder conversations with our friends or with our family members to make those relationships better, right? So having the harder conversations with our parents or with our siblings, hi Jen, so that we can make those relationships better. Now, one of the things that I don't talk about, but that I think is also very real, and that we all get to talk about, hopefully that we get to talk about, because we are living a real life. In other words, life isn't just Facebook, cupcakes, and puppy dog tails, and cotton candy, and whatever else that is sweet and easy, right? So the thing that I don't talk about very often, but that is very real, is how sometimes those brave conversations, those courageous conversations that we get to have, the communication that we get to have with some people that we love, sometimes those conversations are to decide to end the friendship. Which was so not the case in this trip, but I'm really wanting to share the contrast, because I've been on both sides, and I'm sure you have too, where you've wanted to make the effort, we've wanted, to have the brave conversations to make something better. And sometimes having the brave conversation is to recognize, there just isn't a synergy there. There isn't an alignment of values. There isn't, an aligned focus where both of you are focusing on the friendship as much as the other one is. Pumping love into it, like really giving to it, nurturing it. And how okay it is, to let those friendships go. If our life is, and I know I've said this, I think I said this on the last live stream that Josh and I did together, my husband and I, for those of you who don't know, sometimes we get on and do these live streams as well about relationships. A lot about relationships and communication and conscious partnering, etc. But, if our life is, when our life is good, when you and I have felt that our life has been the best, I would venture to say that the reason that we've felt that our life has been good or great or amazing, or that we're just, vibing on all, like we're just really vibing, right? And all cylinders are a go, like we're feeling amazing. I would venture to say that a lot of that comes from the relationships that we have, right? So our life is good, and I literally sign my business emails like that. Life is good, Michelle. So our life is good. Our life is great because of the relationships that we nurture, right? The relationships that we have and that we hold. And I think, if that's the case, then not only is it something that we get to do, in other words, nurture those friendships, nurture those relationships, but then really doing the harder thing, which is letting go, having those brave conversations, or sometimes it doesn't even come through a brave conversation, just literally surrendering to the fact that a friendship is going or has gone, that at least for this time being, that a friendship has sort of run its course, and that's okay. So again, I'm just such a fan of having real conversations, of having real conversations with you via live stream, having real conversations with my community meaning through my newsletters or blogs or whatnot. And I think this is a conversation that we don't have very often, right? Because we don't want to talk about the hard things, but guess what? Having or being able to talk about the hard things can make us feel lighter, can make life feel more ease-filled. The more real that we are with ourselves, the more real that we are with our friendships, with our relationships, and the more that we are able to actually not just keep and hold keep holding on to the beautiful relationships that we have and that really nurture us. Knowing that this piece around letting relationships go, surrendering to the fact that, that right now in this season, right now in this time of life, there is a certain friendships, or that there are friendships that have run its course for right now, and I've definitely been in that position over the last 5 years or so. And wanted to just share that because I'm coming off of a weekend that was so beautiful with one of my high school friends. We hiked, we talked to the wee hours, we hiked some more. She sent me back in my bag in front of me with like 3 zip-locked or airtight bags of salmon that she caught. She's Alaskan, she's amazing. She and her husband just loved me up. I loved them up. It was such a beautiful long weekend of again, this friendship project, this friendship experiment, I should say, that I've ventured to do for myself this year. And I haven't really talked about it very much. I knew that I probably would get on a live stream and share with you. And as I was walking down to the gate, I thought, I have to do this now. Again, whenever my heart calls for me to do something is when I'm doing it. And so that goes, that goes for live streams as well. So the friendship project. So about 10 months ago, I said to myself, I want to stop so much texting. I want to stop so much, let's say, Facebook Messenger or, sort of virtual friendships, again, with my beloved friends. And I want to get on planes, trains, and automobiles. And I want to show them how important I feel this friendship is, and how I want to refocus on it and breathe new life into it, create new memories. And I have to say that it has been such a happiness project. In other words, even though I have always thought that a good life is made through great relationships, these last 10 months have shown me that time and time and time again. So, if you're in that space of just missing your friends, or, healing a broken heart, wanting to not feel lost but feel a gain, maybe there is a friendship experiment for you. Maybe there's a friendship experiment waiting for you to embark on. It may not be getting on a plane like I have. I've gone to Seattle and Alaska and New York and San Francisco, and I've gone to Italy, and I've gone to these different places with the women that I've wanted to nurture. And I think I shared this in another live stream, but I'll share this here in case you didn't catch it. On one Post-it note about a year ago, I wrote down the names of the people that I wanted to, again, the names of the relationships, the people who I wanted to breathe new life into, the people that I really wanted to nurture in a new way. And so that little Post-it that held about 10 names or so, family members included, some of my best girlfriends, cousins, etc. Guatemala is another place that I went. I've basically been going through that list. I've been going through that Post-it note. And again, for me, the way my friendship experiment has played out is that it's, I've gotten myself on planes, and I've gone to the different women in my life, or men, and have had fun with them. I mean, really just had fun with them. With some of these trips, I have also really let them know, hey, I'm just letting you know how important our relationship is, and I'm recommitting to this relationship, and that I want to re-nurture it, or I want to nurture it in a new way. And it's been beautiful. I mean, there's been tears, there's been lots of laughter, and it has brought me such a renewed, let's see, how can I describe this more like as precise as possible? It has brought me such a renewed sense of, I guess, what life means, what it means to heal, yes, from loss, what it means to live, like essentially, what the most important elements or the most important parts of a life are. It's definitely not things. Have felt that for a long, long time. In fact, about 8 or 9 or 10 years ago, my husband and I felt that, right? And so we said to each other, I forget who it was, I think it might have been me to him, hey, you know what, material gifts just aren't my thing, you know, but experiences are. He loves poetry, so I said poetry totally is my thing. You know, written words, right? And so for that long, each of us haven't bought each other things. We've created experiences. We're both writers, and so we write poetry. We write short stories. When my brother passed away, we started a He Said, She Said, because we've always wanted to write a book. A He Said, She Said book. And so we ended up doing like a grief blog, you know, a grief blog that was the He Said, She Said grief blog. And so I would start I think we called it the She Said, He Said blog, grief blog. And so I would start writing, and then he would continue my thought or his thought on the same topic, on the topic of loss, and how we were maneuvering it, right, as a couple. And so yeah, it was just, it's, you know, that part of it, I forget, this was linking back to something I was saying earlier, that, you know, that it's been such a beautiful thing even to watch, you know, Josh and I sort of recommit to our own relationship. But this idea of this experiment, you know, this friendship experiment, it has brought just such a renewed sense of life, what it means to live, and how if we don't have the sweet relationships, you know, to have and to hold us, like, what do we have? And I don't mean just your romantic relationships. I mean, like, literally creating a community for yourself, right? And Josh and I have talked about this a lot too, that, you know, when we get older, and this hasn't been like a conscious, we started to realize that this is what we were doing with the Greater Good Party too. We were like, because we've always been so respected Josh's parents, who are in their late 70s and 80s, how they have created community for themselves. You know, they've been like supporting people throughout the years, supporting Hispanic teens get to college. I mean, for like 35 years or something. I think I might be getting that time wrong, but something around those lines. And how they were creating this gorgeous community for themselves. And I think that's really what I am talking about here, like nurturing relationships so that you and I have community right now, like in the present day, but that we have a true sense of community and sort of friends that have become family as we get older. You know, I know, you know, as we get older, some of the things that we, and hopefully we feel this now, but some of the things that we, or people that we care about most are, well, our friendships, and you know, and of course, like keeping our mind really fresh, right? So a lot of like continuing to be curious and go on adventures, whether it's, you know, mental adventures, physical adventures. And so the last thing I want to share before I hop on this flight is, you know, so I talked about the harder thing, and now, you know, the sweeter thing, I've kind of really also been talking about. I was talking about the harder thing being, for those of you who hopped on late or later, is that the harder thing is, you know, just realizing that sometimes some friendships have to go, right? In other words, that they're just not aligned anymore, and that's okay. You know, that we don't have to be in drama about it. That we can just either emotionally or mentally say, you know, you know, it's complete for now. And keep walking, you know, keep walking on our path of life. And then, of course, there's the sweet part, which is this, you know, this thing that I'm calling the friendship experiment, which is, you know, knowing that there are so many people in our life right now. You know, it might be new friends, but I think for me, my friendship experiment has been all about nurturing the older friendships, you know, you know, what is it? The some are silver and the others gold. We know, what is it? What is that song? Something old and something new. Like we want to keep old and new friends, essentially, is the theme of the song. And I think that's so true. New friendships are amazing, and this friendship experiment for me has really been about nurturing the friendships that have sustained us for a long time, and that maybe we've taken for granted, that we knew they'd always be there, and it's true, they're still there, and recognizing that we get to, you know, focus on these friendships a little bit more right now, because because we haven't been. And these are the friendships, the friendships from high school, the friendships from college, who have given us so much joy, throughout those seasons and periods of our life. But like, how much more could we enjoy our lives if we actually recommitted to those friendships, to those parents? I think of my recommitment recently to my dad. In other words, I just had a conversation with my dad recently about how I just wanted him to know that I was consciously recommitting to him, and that I wanted us to continue to have an amazing relationship and even take it to another level, make it even more amazing. And that was just a beautiful conversation. We had that conversation on Father's Day, and essentially this is what, as I walk to my gate, I don't want to be late, these are the kinds of conversations that I've been having on these adventures with friends, with friends of mine from all over the place, and from all stages and seasons of my life, is just telling these women, telling these men in my life, how important it is for me to recommit to that friendship. And it's just been, you guys, it's been one of, honestly, the greatest gifts of the last decade, this friendship experiment that I'm on, and I'm going to continue on it. Again, I'm 10 months in, and I cannot wait to see what it brings. I know my friend Kate, who I'm leaving right now in Anchorage, Alaska, she's going to come to Los Angeles and visit with her boys, and we just had such a rekindling that was beautiful and life-affirming and necessary and all those things. Hi, Donna. Oh, Donna, you've been doing this too? That's awesome. I think all of us would benefit from it. And here's the last thing that I'll say, is I'm like probably 20 feet from the check-in desk, is hold on, what was I saying? Oh, is that with, in this virtual world that we live in, we have to do something. Like, we can't sustain this. We can't sustain so much of the virtual, so much of the tech, so much of the high tech. Like, you and I, we get to be as high touch, or we can be as high touch as we are high tech. Like, let's use the tech. It's awesome. Let's be high tech. But let's also really use, the ability that we have, the abilities that we have to be high touch, because life is only as good as much, is only as rich as the relationships that we are touching. In other words, the hearts that we are touching. And I think, the very last thing that I'll say is that this sort of friendship project has also sort of bled out or extended out, I would say probably over the last 4 years, so it's been longer. But just me also being on this real conscious desire, to touch people, to be, to support, people outside of my business, to start the Greater Good Party, to do hospice work, to, do refugee work in Greece, to do as much heart connecting. Yes, support, yes, service of other people, but I mean truly connecting, human to human, like touch to touch, heart to heart. And if that isn't healing, if that isn't what the world needs so much of now, I don't know what is. I mean, I just know that for me, it has definitely felt that way, that it has not only been healing, it has not only been necessary to reconnect, with friends, but it's also been like just completely necessary, just from a human perspective. And what you and I maybe want to be putting out to the world energetically is this recommitment to humanity, this recommitment to humans, and it can look like so many different. it could express itself in so many different ways. And this is, this is how mine has expressed itself. My recommitment to humanity has been in all these ways. And so as I walk on the plane, because who knows if I'll have space now for my luggage, but I hope that you've gotten something from this. I trust. Hi, Juja. There's another one of my BFFs. Mwah, mwah, mwah. So love to all. Enjoy your life, and I can't wait to connect with you guys soon. Bye.